Hi, welcome to channel 16. In this session, we're going to discuss the process approach and how we can apply that in our management systems. I'm your trainer for this particular session. So the topics we're going to discuss today is what is a process, what are the key elements of a process, input, output, objectives, indicators, owner, customer, the process owner, process customer, process versus functional or departmental approach, some examples of a process, and continual improvement of processes. So what exactly is a process? So let's see what is a process. What's on your screen is it's an indicative representation of a ship owner giving a ship to a vessel management company, a ship management company. Typically, we've just shown out here crewing and HR admin department, technical and marine department, resources, charters. We've just taken a few of these departments due to limitation of space out here to explain, but it's basically to show you how processes within an organization are interconnected and interdependent. For example, technical and marine has issues related to training. You have charter party compliance, also issues that could lead to continual improvement and be something that's related to training. Approval of suppliers. Now, this also could impact on the performance of the charter. In terms of NCs and incidents, how to handle that, it comes back here. So the processes are interconnected and there is a lot of interdependency among the departments, among the various functions in an organization. We've actually taken two processes for discussion. One is the bunkering process and one is also the internal audit process. We'll be seeing that later. Now, what is the process? So we have so many processes in a shipping company. What is on display right now is just an indicative of some of the processes. Let's say LSA and FFA maintenance. We have a shipboard safety familiarization. We have the purchase process, the supplier evaluation process. Then you're conducting emergency drills on both the vessel and even drills in the office. Permit to work, the PMS and the machinery maintenance process, arrival and departure procedures, galley and food inspection, passage planning. Then you have cargo operations, selection of seafarers. And you have the internal audit process. And you have conducting management review meeting in the office. And so like these, there are many processes in an organization, and every company has certain procedures drawn out for this. So there are other processes as well. Now let's look at what are the key elements of a process, of any process. Every process will have something as an input, the activity that's carried out, and an output. So for example, we have taken, you want to prepare a dish. So there are some ingredients required: frozen peas, oil, potato, tomato, green chilies, onion, garlic, carrots, fenugreek, spices, etc. Now that's the input required to prepare something. So your inputs are defined. You know what exactly you require before you start preparing the dish. So you line these up all together, and then you go about preparing. That's the dish, and the output is what comes out is at the end is the dish ready to eat. So you have the input in any process, you have the process itself of carrying out the task, and then you have the output, right? So now we look into what exactly are process inputs. So what exactly is a process input, and we will take the bunkering operations as a process for discussion. So let's see what are the inputs: the man, machinery, material, methodology. So the 3 M's or the 4 M's required to carry out the bunkering operations. We need staff. We need people on board the vessel. We need engineers. We need seafarers. We need deck officers. There is the documentation that's required. Then you also need to know what is the quantity of oil bunkers that have to be taken. Then you also need the specifications of the bunkers, the bunker barge details, the contact details of the agent, local representative. Then you also require, the bunkering procedures that every company has: its bunkering procedures, bunkering plan, and a checklist. So typically we list down the inputs. We've just discussed these inputs, not that these inputs are comprehensive. You may have a few more inputs and you can add that. So you require men, you require a list, quantity of bunkers, bunker specifications, barge details, agent contact, bunkering procedure, bunkering checklist, etc. So this is what you require, say, as input. Okay. Now let's look at what are the outputs of this. Again, the bunkering operations, the bunkering procedure. So objectives, what is output, objective of process, and what is required to be achieved? What is it that we need to achieve of this? So number one, the process needs, the output would be the bunker delivery note and the bunker sample, sealed samples, right? So you have bunker delivery notes, samples. Now these outputs, you can have a few more, but let's say we are looking at some basic outputs. Now what exactly are, if we look at in the bunkering operations, what are the process objectives? So the objectives of the bunkering procedure is the bunkering is carried out in a safe manner and is completed in a timely manner. So objectives could be timely completion of bunkers, carrying them out safely, and there is no bunker dispute. So that's the objectives that of the process. Now what can be the indicators that you wish to measure, because every process will have some indicators that will tell you whether the operations have been carried out properly or not. So what could be one or more parameters that measure the success or failure of a process? So in this case, in bunkering case, one of the parameters you will measure is the difference between the ship and barge or the ship and shore figures. What is the difference? Is it within permissible limits or not? If it is not, then you have bunker disputes that are coming in. Then the next thing that you'd like to do is, whether the bunkering operations were carried out without any, incident, and the time taken. What is the time taken to complete the bunkers? So these are some indicators that sort of tell the the ship staff and the company that whether the bunkering operations have been successfully carried out and the process has been a success, right? So that's an indicator. This is a very important. In fact, in our channel 16 there is another video on leading and lagging indicators. So I would suggest that you also see that. It's that'll tell you exactly what sort of indicators you can establish for any process. Now the process owner is a very important thing. So we look at a bunkering operations. So the process owner is in the organization, the company, in the shore establishment, who is the person responsible for this process, bunkering process. Now it is, sometimes we get to see that a master mariner is taking care of the process, which is incorrect. The bunkering procedures need to be carried out, written down and established by a person who has the technical expertise, such as an ex-chief engineer. So ideally that person knows exactly what bunkering is all about and is thus will be the person responsible and accountable for any near-miss incidents, dangerous occurrences that occur in a bunkering process, and will then improve and carry out the necessary changes in the process. Defining process owners for a process is always a challenging task, because in general people don't like to be accountable. They do not wish to be held responsible. So but if this is carried out successfully with the with the support of the top management, then that person responsible will be in a position to optimize the process and carry out the necessary changes in the process based on internal near-miss incidents and on external feedback and external incidents. Now we next come to is who is the customer in the bunkering process. So the customer is that entity or person who uses this process. So it's very important that they achieve customer satisfaction, and in this case the customer are the engineers on the ship. So they are the users of the process. So it's very important that the process is established in such a manner that it's not just user friendly, but it's also it can be implemented in an easy manner and monitored for us to carry out the bunkering operations in a successful manner. Now we look at a process versus functional departmental approach. A process approach, now see, process approach integrates roles of various departments in performing a task Its performance is based on a desired result. Thus, its process approach is result oriented. If desired results are not achieved, then process changes are evident that needs to be carried out by the process owner. It standardizes the way an activity has to be performed and helps in assessing opportunities to improve the process over a period of time. And that's a never-ending process, right? So the improvement never ends, right? It continues. Continual improvement, that's what it's called. In simple terms, process approach is like all departmental functional representatives meeting up to discuss a problem or problems and solutions. So it's all departmental. Why? Because processes are interlinked, there's interdependency in departments. But a functional approach is similar to a personnel of a department meeting to discuss how to resolve the departmental problem without involving the others. Now, this can't be fully resolved without the involvement of others interfacing departmental functions. So, a process approach is looking at a macro level, and it's much better way, a more effective way in managing. Now, if you look at some examples, we have taken internal audit process. These are some inputs. These are the outputs. These are some indicators. Now, this is a legend out here. I've taken it up to the next page to show you what exactly this legend means. So this legend is, it sort of matches with these blocks out here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is a bit of a description as to what needs to be done in one. So this approach of a process conducting internal audit defines, if you go back to the previous slide, it tells us about the input requirements, the output requirements, the indicators, and the objectives, right? Okay, so let's go back into our last slide. That's about continual improvement of processes, and below is an example again for the internal audit process. Kaizen is small initiatives, small improvements. BPR is business process restructuring. Both are improvement in the processes, but in a different way. Kaizen looks at small improvements such as amending the internal audit checklist to make it more user friendly or to cover items left out, or training of internal auditors to enable auditors to focus on system and process related findings, etc. Now look at BPR is to align processes with changes in technology, work, business environment, etc., such as changing the manner in which audit findings are captured, such as from a paper checklist to use of a tablet, conducting remote audits or using drones not requiring auditor to be physically present, audit e-report and e-closure uploaded directly in the system, etc. So these are structural changes in a process. Yeah, so that's all about a process and a process approach and management system. Uh, Hope the presentation was useful in clearing the doubts on the process approach. Thank you for your time.